So starting with section 3 notes, we're going to talk about atomic radius, which translates into the size of the atom. So we're going to look at size. What is the size of lithium compared to carbon? What is the size of potassium compared to sodium? And then we'll look at something with that. So atomic size is a periodic trend that is influenced by electron configuration, which we've spent a lot of time on. For metals, the atomic radius is half the distance between adjacent nuclei in a crystal of an element. So pretend this is metal, pretend it's silver. If I have a silver plate, I have all these different atoms of silver that are very close together. So the atomic radius, it's just like in math, radius is half the distance of the diameter. So this would be the radius, the diameter would be 372, and also the distance from this nucleus to this nucleus would also be 372. But basically, when we're looking at atomic radius, we're using it to talk about the size. So if it has 186, that's the size of that atom. What's the size of a different atom? For elements that occur as molecules, so this would be like H2. So I have one atom of hydrogen attached to another, which would be written like that. But if I have a hydrogen molecule, pretty much the same thing. The radius, though, is in between the nucleus and where they actually come together. And the atomic radius of if I'm looking at a molecule, I'm actually looking at 2 atoms. So quite honestly, we'll get more into this later. For this chapter, we're focusing on 1 atom at a time. But this is how it would work when things start to chemically bond together. So, rules. And I'm going to read through these quickly, and then you're going to do something, and then we're going to talk about why this happens. So on the periodic table, atomic radius generally decreases from left to right. So remember studying, come back and look at this, but we're going to talk about the why of it. Caused by positive charge in the nucleus. Valence electrons are not shielded from increasing nuclear charge because no additional electrons come between the nucleus and valence electrons. How clear is that to you guys? How many of you say, woohoo, I totally get that? How many of you are, I have no idea what that's talking about? I would not, at your age, that would not make sense to me. But after we do our activity, we're going to come back, and the shielding part, I want you to understand. Atomic radius generally increases as you move down a group. This is the easiest one, and it will make the most sense to you. The outermost orbital size increases down a group, making the atom larger, which is kind of the Y part for this. And that might actually be... Here's a picture. So I can look at... It actually tells me the sizes, so where we looked at the diagrams a little bit, I can actually look up the picometers, which is a very tiny measurement, okay? Lithium's 152, hydrogen's 37, a lot smaller. Sodium gets bigger, potassium gets bigger, they get smaller. Here's the general rule for what happens to the radius. This, if you want to circle, I'll expect you to know those rules for the test. The numbers, I don't in any way expect you to know any of the numbers. And I'm not going to play that right now. That's where we're going to stop. Okay, so there's rules for the periodic table. Size of atoms change. I want you to take out your lab from last